Hello everybody and welcome to Behind the Weebs, SunnyCon Expo's look behind the scenes of running a convention in the United Kingdom. I'm Tucky and it has been quite a while since I last saw you. A lot has happened since. We've got Newcastle and Liverpool out of the way for 2019 and now we're waiting till 2020. It's a long process, but we have a lot to discuss and today we're going to be doing Brexit 2. Hit the intro. So yes, Brexit to Electric Boogaloo. I believe that's what I'm going to put as the title. However, this is the first thing that I ever spoke about doing this Behind the Weeb series back in January, and a lot has changed since. So yeah, I've tried to do this video 4 or 5 times now. First time I tried it, Theresa May was still in power. Her deal didn't get through, and then Theresa May quit. Boris Johnson became Prime Minister, and my word, has it all just gone to crap. So moving the whole, ideological shithousery of what Brexit is, and the Parliament versus people thing. We want to move away from that, and this is a behind the scenes of what goes on at an anime convention, and this is, it's going to affect us all. So I'm going to look into much more detail than my first video, how Brexit's going to affect us, especially now that the goalposts have moved 4 miles down the road and they're on someone's roof. So first off, Brexit, how is it affecting our convention? Well, it's affecting everyone's convention, and the main thing would have to be the exchange rate. And I know I brought this up in the first video, however, the exchange rate's been bobbing along up and down. There was one point where it's dropped like super low. But that is the main thing at the moment, the exchange rate. And it's not just our convention, it's everybody who brings in guests from Japan, from Europe, from America. Everyone's going to be affected, mainly because the pound's weaker, and that means flights go up, hotel prices will go up, venue hire costs have gone up, we can confirm this. So price rises all around, and then we look at getting guests in, their fees, we'll be paying much more for the fees, despite what $3,000 to $5,000 would have cost us like a year ago to what it is now. So that's the main one, and that's going to take a hit. And it might seem like not much, like you could have like 1.26 like dollars to the pound, and that might drop to like I think it's 1.22 at time of recording. So that 0.4 drop might not seem like a lot, but when you're dealing in large volumes of money, especially into the thousands, especially if you've got like Hollywood stars and whatnot, like hundreds of thousands of pounds in fees, then you're starting to look at the hit that you take. And for us, it's the same. It adds approximately £1 to £2 extra on top of our overall budget, depending on who we get. And this has been one of the forces, because usually we'd have a guest announcement in early September. Early September's passed and we have no guest announcement, and this is because we have to take the approach now of we must wait. We have to wait. There's no ifs or buts about it. If we were to rush in now and get a guest, and it'd be X $1,000 for said guest, their fee, and then we've got to look at the flights and hotels and everything. And it comes down to it that we now have to be so cautious, and we have to take a pragmatic approach to it. Be organised, be sensible, unlike the politicians who aren't at the moment, but that's them. And it's frustrating because we want to get ahead with our work. We'd love to have our guests confirmed, and then we can focus on other things like what panels we want to bring, what workshops, what new stuff we want out of the convention, and be able to cost it out efficiently without thinking that the pound's just going to go through the floor and that's it. Possible outcomes of possible outcomes of any deal. It's it can go a few ways for us. So look at what we need is ideally no Brexit. That's the top and bottom of it. This isn't just my political bias. This is actual fact. For any convention to prosper and go forward, no Brexit has to happen. We stay in the EU, freedom of movement, the pound recovers strong, but it's not going to happen, is it? It's not, even this is the thing, because democratically people have voted and their vote should be honoured. But when you put a yes or no answer for like such a complex situation, they should have put a lot more detail into it rather than yes or no on the hope that, yes would win. And now we've got people who take their own interpretation of what no actually means. And yeah, that's how we end up in this situation. It's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating, because I was joking on the first video that one of the processes of getting paid, because flights from America to the United Kingdom, where most of our guests are from, we would still get them in, because the America-British relationship's different to Britain and the EU. So unless the Americans had to go through to the EU, well, actually, if they had to go through the EU and then to Britain, it would still be the same. So nothing really changes in that regard. However, flights will cost a little bit more. But what we are fearful of is if the whole customs and tourist visas change, and then our guests have to have a visa, or they're just plain out stop people coming into the country, which is a legitimate risk. Because even if Brexit goes through on like Halloween or January 31st, we still have this whole period where, even though they can say we've left the EU, there's going to be like about another 2 years of negotiation there on the actual fine print of the terms, if a deal is reached. If not, then there's a hell of a lot more work to do. So the uncertainty about it means that we have had to come up with like backup plans. And one of the backup plans is we fly our guests to Ireland and we smuggle them over in a trawler. I'm not even kidding now. It's one of the legitimate things, because we want our event to go ahead and we are determined to make everything happen no matter what. And one of the contingency plans we have is actually smuggling guests over. That's as stupid as it gets, really. I mean, that's really worst case scenario. I mean, people were saying, it's all Project Fiat. No, it's Project Reality now. It's annoying. It's annoying, like, from an organiser's point, from any business owner's point of view. If you import and export, it has become such a farce, as it is. The way it was going wasn't bad enough, and now, if we get no deal, everything's going to shoot in price, and it's going to basically block our exports. And people who do artwork, who do their own merchandise, who are based in the United Kingdom, exporting out or even importing in, they're going to face a hit. People who go to conventions, and this has been Expo, traders and artists, they rely on going to like large European conventions like the Paris Expo. A lot of artists trade there. But now they're going to bring in a rule where if you leave the UK, you've got to pay VAT on your whole stock leaving the UK, and then you've got to pay VAT coming back in. So that'll put them off from trading in Europe, or it might actually impact their bottom line and profits. It's going to be hard for them, and the offshoot of that will be we might see more artists and traders actually just go out of business, which would deplete our traders and artists hall, and it'd be an absolute loss to the community, because these people work harder than some businesses out there to try and make a success of it. They're willing to travel the length and breadth of the country to share their work with fans or a new audience. Every time they go to a convention, it's a new audience for them, and the extra cost for them might be the thing that takes it over the edge and just has them go out of business. And it's depressing to think that that's one of the side effects of like Brexit. Even if there is a deal, there's still, the terms of that deal depend on what's hashed out, and it's people's lives that's now being played with. And like I say, I don't want a political bias. I don't want I voted Leave, I voted Remain kind of thing going on here. This is looking beyond the petty squabbles and the political point scoring, because, like I say, we are businesses. We're not just events. We are communities, and within that community, it will affect us, especially in the northeast. Like London gives a toss about us, and that's from years of seeing London not give a toss about us. And going forward, that might also affect our attendance, because it'll affect everyone's attendance. Money's getting tighter. People then have to make a choice of, do I have this like available balance to go to a convention and spend money in the Traders Hall and get a hotel and everything, or I could be, broken and I'd need food, and we would suggest go for the food option before attending the convention. And I think we're starting to see it now, where a few conventions are having to pull it because of poor ticket sales, and I believe that's because things like Brexit is weighing on people's mind, and they're now making the tough decisions, especially with an oversaturated market as the UK convention scene is. We're now seeing that people will be opting to either just not go to a convention at all, or if they are tempted, they will wait till the last second to buy tickets, especially on the back of like a lot of conventions folding. That's another video. But that's another aspect of it. So I've touched on the best. I've touched a bit on the best outcome, saying that no Brexit would be the best outcome for us, which it would be. But the way I would solve it, and you'll forgive me for this, but the way I would have solved it was, I would have seen that Brexit is a complex issue made up of many sections, and just like they taught you in school, bite-sized revision. I would have done a bite-sized Brexit deal, and what that entails would have been like, we look at things like the Northern Ireland backstop, freedom of movement, trading terms and goods and tariffs, transport, and I would have taken each of these individual sections, and I would have said, right, we will leave the EU on X date. No matter what, we would have left the EU at a specified date, probably a year in advance. And then it would have been a case of, right, I'm going to send my representatives over, and what we're going to do is we're going to hash out a deal on just one section of the Brexit negotiation. So Northern Ireland backstop, send them over, get that. When we come to an accord, bring it back to Parliament and vote each bit through individually. So then you wouldn't have this thing of like trying to clump everything together and push it through, whereas somebody might like the deal like on a whole, but not like one specific thing, then the whole thing fails. Whereas it would have been a case of, oh, we've got this, and now people then have to justify why they don't want why they don't want a prosperous future with the EU. Like, oh, why do you not like this tariffs? Oh, well, because bananas are a different shape or somewhere. The daft stuff that they come out with, they would have had to have stood up in front of Parliament and justified why that matters, when it doesn't. It does not matter at all for the majority of it. And then we wouldn't have had this whole far-right incursion into Parliament where, people are just like, well, things aren't getting done, so I'm going to demand a general election. And he's got no power. The way it is, Boris Johnson is an absolute moron. And I think people can see that. Even like his most ardent supporters can see the guy's got nothing going for him. So he's resorted to the tactic of being that one small drunk who offers everyone out to a fight in the bar. He can literally do bugger all. So he's like, oh, well, then have a general election if you think you're hard enough. Cowards, you cowards. And that's all he's become. He's become that little drunk in the bar who just shouts at people and tries to start a fight. And the thing is, it's great to see that, the politicians are just like, nah, you're not worth me time. And I think that, we need a new government to go forward with it. I say, if they've just done me bite-sized Brexit plan, and I actually emailed into Theresa May to tell her that, but what's an email gonna do? But that is the outcome Going forward, what do we think? Well, I think Brexit's going to cause a lot more harm than good. Experts say so. People with common sense say so. You know, leaving the EU is not going to change your life. It's actually, it's not going to change many people's lives, which is a weird thing. It just means that your prices will get higher, and a load of billionaires who have bet on the UK failing will make a lot of money off it. Um, but for a convention of ours, especially in June, I fear that Brexit will be rumbling on till then as well, and well past that. I don't think we're leaving on the 31st of October. I don't even think we're going to leave on the 31st of January. I think there'll be a general election in late November, and by Christmas we'll have a new government. And if it is Labour, then we have a lot more opportunities open up for us, especially just for growth, especially if they follow through with the the green banking initiative, supporting the arts, supporting like events and culture like ours, because the Labour government's the reason, well, one of the reasons why SunnyCon's even here. And it was back in 2011 when I started up with self-employment. They passed me on to Sunderland Enterprise Services, who managed to get a £500 grant from the European Union, of all people, to set us up. So, you know, when our own government wouldn't fund us, we managed to get some of the last of the EU grants to help us set up a business, and that £500 went into stock, which went into more like sales and profit, and that profit got reinvested, and here we are, SunnyCon. So it's kind of a weird thing, because the EU by no means is a perfect organisation. It needs a lot of reform, but by no means is it the root of all evil. You know, go just before the referendum, nobody was putting any statuses up about the EU, and I can't believe it took so little just for the whole country to divide. But there we go, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to go and rant on about Brexit anymore. I'm sure you're sick of it. We're absolutely sick of it. But in the future, I don't think it'll be solved. I think I'll be doing a Brexit-free Hooby Dooby Dee, and just be like me sitting here, torch on fire. Let's kill the effers. That's it for that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. But remember, be kind to people. Stop being so divisive. It doesn't have to be you versus them. Just remember, and be selfish. Think, what do I get out of this personally? And if it's just a blue passport and a sense of being smug over the youth of today, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So, thanks for watching. I've been Tucky, and I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.